everybody, and welcome again to another episode of the Risk Matrix with myself and Mr. James Junkin. Hi, James.
Hey, roll tide.
Roll tide.
Basketball season now. We done moved on to basketball.
We moved on, right?
I'm talking basketball.
Hopefully they can win some games, right? I'm looking for women's softball. I'm waiting for that to come up because I really like
women's softball. You know, the Tide, man. We rock that women's softball.
That's right. So that's coming up for me. And again, it's still Mardi Gras, right?
Mardi Gras starts 12 days after Christmas for all of you uninitiated. It's not just Fat Tuesday. 12 days after Christmas, we're in the festive spirit here in New Orleans, all the way up to Fat Tuesday. So, hey, man, if you're down in the bayou, hit me up.
That's right. James is right down in there, getting in with the thick of it.
We'll get you a binge day.
Let's talk a little bit today. Well, before we talk, let's again thank Veriforce for sponsoring us and for giving us the drive to do this show about safety and risk management. We thank our listeners for listening in. We're glad to be back for 2026. And okay, so let's hit it. Rip from the headlines, James. What do you got?
Rip from the headlines. January the 5th. An Ohio commercial bakery faces $394,849 in penalties from the Occupational Safety and Health Administration after a federal inspection found that the employer had exposed workers to unsafe working conditions. If you hear my voice, listen to the working conditions that they found, okay? 3 repeats, 9 serious, 1 other than serious. Specifically, the 3 repeat violations included violations. Number 1, failure to train workers on lockout, tagout procedures. You know how many companies I do assessments for? We go in, we look at it, we say, have you trained them on lockout, tagout? Yes. And then we find that it is some generic lockout, tagout training. Probably the most egregious I saw here not too long ago. Guys out there working, locking and tagging out, and then hydrous ammonia line with 2 minutes and 56 seconds of online e-learning training. You can't defend that. Okay?
That's right.
They did not train the workers on lockout, tagout procedures. Failing to lock and tag out machines. Sound familiar? Okay.
What machines? Hey, listen, commercial bakeries. Have you ever been in commercial bakeries, right? They've got your KitchenAid mixer, but the kind that sits on the floor or is a big vat, right? And these are the machines. And I'm going to guess, were there machine guarding issues too?
Absolutely. Failure to guard dangerous machines, exposing workers to pinch points, struck by, and caught in hazards. Now, the lesson really out of this, because it doesn't say that there was worker injuries. Don't know if workers were injured or killed or whatever in this incident. But 3 repeat. Now,
so they've been there before.
Here's my warning. Okay? For those of you that go out and settle OSHA citations at informal conferences, or don't even have an informal conference and just take citations, if you take those serious, or if you negotiate to serious, understand if you have another one, that's the basis for repeat, which is a predicate for willful, right? Fines go up. So evidently, New Horizons Bakery got cited before for these same things. They failed to fix them, and they came back in. Look, safety's hard. It is. Very few companies have lockout, tagout procedures. The standard doesn't say it has to be in writing, but if it's not in writing, how do you prove you have a procedure?
Right? And how do you prove everybody's seen that procedure and they're all on the same page?
Absolutely. So written procedures, the way I'd go always, that means if you're looking at your goals for 2026 and you're hearing us talk and you're a safety professional, go out and see, do we have written procedures for this energy isolation problem that we've got? If we don't, that needs to be on our goals. That has SIF and PSIF potential. And obviously OSHA takes it very seriously. as you
Yep.
can see from the penalties that were issued.
Yep. So listen, you keyed it up. You teed it up here for me. We're going to talk about SIF and PSIF, right? I recently posted an article on LinkedIn about the safety triangle being broken, right? I felt like this was something that we all kind of knew, and that we've moved on to looking at the series, the stickies, the stuff that'll kill you, the PSIFs, the SIFs, and trying to reduce fatalities and funerals and things of that nature. I got a lot of pushback, right? I got a lot of pushback, and I expect that when I put something out there on LinkedIn. Everybody's got an opinion, as we know, but let's talk a little bit about counting everything versus counting the big things, etc. I did have one comment, James. Somebody said to me, we can do both. I think some people can, but I will key off of something that you said, James. Safety is hard. And some of these professionals that work in big industries with a lot of workers, a lot of locations, it does get very difficult to count everything, right? So you've got to put your focus on something that matters. And I said SIF, PSIF. What do you say about that, James?
All right, here's what I'm going to say about that. You know the most important number to me? That fatality number. Okay? And that fatality number is not budging. Not significantly. It is unacceptable in 2026 to kill 6,000 people. It offends me. Okay? And if that offends you, then I'm offended by that. Maybe safety is not what you should be in.
Yeah.
Okay? Safety is about getting workers home safe from hazardous jobs. And we're failing. We have done an outstanding job. Everybody's seen this chart. It came out from Fred Manuel. I think maybe it was the first to publish it. I've used it. Matthew Hallowell, if we want to name drop here, in his energy-based safety book that just came out, it's outstanding. I'm reading it. He's used it that tracks total recordable injury rate since the 90s on a downward trend, but what actually kills people is not changing. It's not changing. So if we want to focus on the sticky, if you will, I don't know who coined that phrase. Dr. Hallowell quotes it a lot. I think it's pretty cool, right? Then I think that's something that all of us should be able to agree on. Because what we're doing is not working. And the premise of your article is the old Heinrich injury triangle that I thought we had killed. I thought we had killed the Heinrich injury triangle, at least academically, but we've not. It is alive and well. It's alive and well. Okay?
And people are defending it. People are defending it.
All right. Well, then why is it not working?
I don't know.
Study after study after study. I'm not talking about opinion. I'm talking about research that came out of CSRA has debunked this time and time and time and time again. Right?
We also, James, see, I mean, I think we've progressed beyond looking at everything to looking at the sticky and looking at the SIFs, PSIFs. People are working on standards. There's ASTM E2920 that actually starts looking at it evaluates serious and potentially serious events and looks at them differently than little recordables and little onesie twosies here and there, because it's basically separating that life-ending or life-altering injury from the little stuff. That's not to say we're not counting the little stuff. It's not to say we're not looking at the little stuff, but we're focusing on the things that are life-altering or life-ending. And I think it says something when professionals, a lot of really professionals that are out there doing the good work, are working on these standards and working on things like Matthew Hollowell's team to show us different ways of reducing those 6,000 fatalities a year.
Absolutely.
It's
And
important.
I'm not through with Hallowell's work yet. I've been very impressed with the work that comes out of CSRA. Read a lot of his articles, his team's articles published in Professional Safety Journal. Couldn't agree with him more. I have more to say once I get done with the book. But this idea that if we continue to focus on what I call the knick-knack injuries. Now, I guess you can be flippant and call it a knick-knack injury if it doesn't happen to you, but it's not all life-altering. It's not life-threatening. If Heinrich's injury triangle actually worked, and the focusing on the small, the sprains, the slips, the trains, all that worked, we wouldn't kill 6,000 people a year. The data refutes it. You see this focus on total recordable injury rates and those type of injuries has driven that down significantly, which is great, but it's done nothing to address the fatality trend. So the correlation is something I've been saying for a while, and Dr. Hallowell actually said it in his book. The things that prevent total recordable treatment beyond first aid injuries are not the same things that prevent fatalities and serious injuries. So there's a lot of different ways to attack that, but I think we've done a pretty good job raising that awareness as a profession and a practice over the last 3 or 4 years. And it's astounding to me that people still want to argue whether or not
It's a thing.
fixing, first aids is going to prevent fatalities. If it did, we wouldn't kill 6,000 people a year. I invite anybody to come on here and debate me on that.
I agree. But what I've learned from posting some of these things is we still have a long way to go, right? We still have a long way to go when it comes to how we look at things. I think one of the other takeaways that I get from some of my recent posts, and especially this one on PSIF and Heinrich's triangle, is that people are really ready to put out there some of the things that we've already dispelled, right? And not really put the things that we're trying to work on, like SIF and PSIF, into practice, right? I love hearing people's safety theories. That's great, but what I want to do is reduce those big injuries, reduce the fatalities, right? And so I want tools like stuff that's talked about in Hallowell's book that I can put into practice immediately with any company that I work for, especially in the high risk industries that you and I work in, of construction and oil and gas, right? Those are places where most of these fatalities are happening, including mining, agricultural, some of those other places too.
Right.
I can do both, right? And most people can do both. But if we're going to focus on something that's important, let's focus on bringing workers home in the same way, or better than they were when they left for work, right? And that includes not killing them.
Let me say this. 2 years ago, I sat on a panel at the OSHA Oil and Gas Conference. And I took the article from Matthew Hollowell's team about defining the S in SIF and just threw it out there for discussion, right? What does serious mean? We all know what fatality means. What does serious mean? And he offered a solution and a definition. And this room was packed, and it started what I thought naturally was going to start, a big argument about what serious means, and it's different for everybody.
It is.
If you're going to track PSIF, if you're going to track PSIF and SIF, we all know what dead means.
Yep.
Okay? We get dead. But serious, you've got to come to an organizational definition and be disciplined about it. Okay? His article gave a great example of cutting off the end of a finger. Tip. It went away, not a lot of treatment, Didn't create a life-altering situation? Is that a serious? Some said yes, some said no. I'm not going to get into my personal opinions on that, but you've got to develop your definition and be disciplined about it. Because if you can't get that, you can't be disciplined about potential. Everything can be a potential. Now, what are we back to? Measuring everything. What was it you told me when I started my dissertation? You can't boil the ocean.
That's right.
And this starting to have this feeling like we're boiling the ocean, that we started off on an initial path of we're going to focus on the stuff that will kill you. And then we got, yeah, but this, yeah, but this, yeah, but this. And if we're going to do that, then let's just stay with total recordable injury
But
rate.
it just depends, James. And this is what I like about your explanation, right? For your organization or for your industry, maybe we can expand it to the industry. I'll allow it, right? What is our definition? And can it be different than a different industry? Can it be different from another company that does a different suite of services? Yeah, I believe it can, right? But to your point, you need to be disciplined about it and stick to it and have a method to your madness, right? A method to your madness is not just count everything and try to figure it out from there. I don't think anybody can do that.
Count everything, you're back to total recordable injury rate.
Right.
I mean, you can make every recordable, if you extrapolate enough, into something serious. Well, if this had happened, if that had happened. So my thing is, there's a lot of debate. There are a lot of definitions out there from governmental entities, respected authorities on what is serious means. CSRA offers a reasonable one. When we get to life altering, though, what does life altering mean? Okay, back to my finger question. That altered their life, but is it in some sort of serious debilitating thing where they cannot perform the same tasks that they could before? I'll go and give you my opinion. Even though that's horrible, get the end of your finger clipped off, I would not call that a serious injury. For the purpose of this, to have a definition to focus on the things that can be debilitating and or kill you.
Right.
That means there's going to be some gray areas there, and for us to attack it within an organization, I think the organization's got to start off and be disciplined. If we're going to wait on the safety profession to come up with a common definition, we can't even get the safety profession to get.
I don't think it's achievable. I actually don't think it's achievable. I think in theory it's achievable, right? We can theorize as we do with everything else till we're blue in the face as a safety profession. But I think your definitions and those types of things start with you and where you're applying it, to what industry you're applying it, what organizations you're applying it, what practice you're applying it to. So my recommendation is this, and I know you're going to add to this, right? Check out Matthew Hollowell's work, some of the other work that's coming out of the CSRA. James will show his book again, Energy-Based Safety by Matthew Hollowell. Check out some of the writings on this ASTM standard, ASTM E2920. Also talks about PSIF, SIF, and life-altering injuries, etc. And try to start formulating some of your own opinions on these things. James and I never say we're right about anything. Of course, we think we're right, but what's right for us is not right for you, is not right for the profession. So certainly challenge us, give us some comments, chime in. James, do you have anything else you think people should be checking out?
Well, I'm not done with the book, but the book's entitled Energy-Based Safety by Matthew Hollowell from the University of Colorado at Boulder, Construction Safety Research Alliance. And it's a scientific approach. And what interests me the most is that it's focused on energy. Energy hurts, energy kills. More energy, more hurt, more death, right? And what they've extrapolated in the research so far that I've read is to look for high energy hazards. anything above 1,500 joules has the potential for serious injury or death. Now we've got something to do. Now we've got something based in science. And I've just gotten through the first few chapters. It's very amazing, some of the data that came out of there about why we fail to identify hazards, how the mind works in identifying hazards in like JHAs, JSAs, because we're always like, the guys are missing it. Well, he sent his team out there, and guess what? The percentage of hazards they found versus the percentage of hazards the field found were about the same. And these are professionally trained safety professionals, certified, degreed. So I think it's great. I really enjoyed reading the book. We'll come back once we're done, probably have a session, talk about the book. But I just believe in my heart of hearts, we need to do something. And you can't wait on others to tell you. Read what others say, but do something within your organization. I just had a call with a colleague like this last night. 9:00 at night, we're talking about this stuff last night. He introduced it to his company. They liked the idea. How do we implement it? I said, the very first thing you've got to decide is, what does serious mean? And then you've got to put some parameters around potential, because if you don't, you're just going to be tracking everything. And if we're boiling the ocean, we're not getting better. We're not getting.
And remember, you can't always apply the same theory or the same spin on a theory to everything that you do. Not every industry will work the same way that your industry works. So, take some of these works, read some of these things, and then apply it to your specific situation. And I've said this before, when it comes to all these new views, safety 1, safety 2, behavior-based safety, all this other kind of stuff. A good safety professional knows that what works for your company is usually an amalgamation of all of these different theories put into what works for your company, right? It's not just one thing. It's not just HOP. It's not just behavior-based safety. It's not just safety 1, safety 2, new view, whatever. It's got to be a holistic view of the things and pieces that work to lower those injuries and illnesses and fatalities in the things that you do. So that's what I got there, James.
All right. New view, old view, same view, different view. How about this view? Identify hazards, put controls in place to get workers home safe.
Agreed.
That's safe. Okay. Hats off to you men and women that are out there every day with your boots in the ground while all of us academics debate what works, what don't work. Hey, I appreciate you. I understand your challenges. Every day getting up, going to work, trying to bring everyone home. I get it. We thank you. We do this show for you. We appreciate you. Keep doing a good job as we try to come up with better ways to address serious injuries and fatalities so all workers can come home safe.
So thank you so much. If you like what we say, if you don't like what we say, put some notes in the comment. Tell us how you apply these things. If you're applying some of these things, if you've got new ideas, let us know. Subscribe, like, tell a friend. Get the word out there that we're talking about these things. If you want to be on the show, let us know. You can shout us out on LinkedIn or through our personal emails. Let us know what you want to talk about or things that you want us to talk about, and we'll bring them on the show this year in season 3. So thanks again. And James, you want to take us out?
Hey, thank y'all again. Till next time, keep bringing those workers home safe from high hazard jobs, and roll tide, baby.
Roll tide.